Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
What's up? Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, DJ Youngs, your guy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As always, this is a podcast. You have access to this on your phone, on your laptop, iPad, whatever you hold that's electronic that picks up a Wi-Fi signal. So I know you could be listening to this at any time, any place, anywhere. So I just like to cover all of the greetings. Salutations, everybody. All right, so look, hey, gonna give you a rundown of the show. Got some new things for you, all right? First things first, about that one of those episodes that we're gonna have to stretch out the new news. Not necessarily stretch it out, but, I hate giving it to you guys so quickly in a short segment on what's going on. A lot of times there's a lot of conversation behind some of these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little longer to give us time to actually dive into some of those situations or just information that come about, thought pieces, opinions, right? Then from there, I'm going to do a fan coaching segment. And that's basically, everything that we be thinking that we don't know if it's going on in the locker room or not. But, hey, coach, this is what y'all need to do. All right, we got a couple situations that some coaches out there look like they need some help in figuring out what they're going to do. So we're going to help them out with that, all right? And last but not least, we have the segment I will be calling Reaching. Not reaching, reaching. All right? This is the segment where we just going to put it out there and maybe kind of reaching for the truth or a thought too far. Kind of like Tom Brady is definitely falling off this year. See, look, I said that, no evidence. That's just speculation. I give my reasons why. Now, there was an example, everyone. I don't believe that, but I need to give y'all a pretty good idea of how drastic this is going to be. I like to play it safe a lot of the times. I like to just give it real easy and in a nice way, my delivery on how I feel about situations and certain players and staff. But with this segment here, you're just going to hear straight out on the thought, on what it is, on whatever situation, and why. No evidence. No evidence needed. All right? So, kicking off, I guess we can say just new news part one, man. Definitely want to get into it. I'm going to start off on a light note. Usually if something unfortunate happens, I like to put that out there. But, hey, man, when things cool happen or at least it's notified, I like to bring that stuff up too, man. And I'm going to start this episode off lovely with that, especially just coming off my B-Day. We got to start with good vibes, right? All right. So this is it. So the good news here is the story of Tyron Jackson. I don't know if you heard about Tyron, but we're going to get there. All right. So his older brother, Darren, he was passing away and did pass away back when Tyron was 9. All right. So in that time, it was Christmas 2007. His brother Darren was 12, and he was fighting leukemia since about 2004 when he passed away. Throughout that time, they kind of knew things were coming about, and Taryn was able to actually spend more time with his brother as the school understood the situation, let him hang out with him before he passed away. And within that time, Taryn promised his brother that he was going to be in the NFL. It's a dream that him and his brother shared. So, this defensive end out of Coastal Carolina was selected by the Eagles in the 6th round this past draft. So I just had to start. That's just a beautiful thing. But I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things, and a lot of people have their own different motivators. It's nice to know that his motivation was so heartfelt. It's a sad story of, him just having to lose his brother, especially at such a young age. But it was nice to know that he never forgot his promise to work toward it and succeeded. That young man is now in the NFL. So dreams do come true, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you got the right mindset and you're going to push to make it to where you're trying to be. All right, keep that in mind. So shout out to Taryn Jackson. I'm definitely rooting for him. He's wearing 75 because 7 and 5 put together equals 12, which is how old his brother passed away at. So, lovely story, man. I want to start y'all off with some warm hearts, right? Before we get into the nitty gritty. All right, man. So, where are we going to start off? I think we should start off flashy. All right. And there's no place flashier than the Dallas Navy Star that they be wearing. Okay. Michael Parsons, their first round pick, is already, out here having the conversations with the media. But I mean, he has to. So media have to put him in the, limelight for something. And I guess they just decided to, this isn't bad, guys, but just ask him about last time he worked on sleds, because they got pictures of him that was posted from the Dallas Cowboys, I believe. Yeah, Dallas Cowboys posted it. 11 in action. It has some pictures of him out there at the training camp. He quoted it. He said, "First day out, felt amazing. I'm back to the blue and white. It's going to be special here." All right. Photographed him doing a couple different drills. Now, that brings me to say, being that he opted out this last season of college ball, a lot of people, it was like, wow, when was the last time you did, those type of workouts? And, he laughed it off and just said, right before the Cotton Bowl. But it's not, look, he was gone a year. He stayed in shape. I mean, we'll leave it at that. He seems ready. He has a big talk. He talks like he's, he's the best player on their defense, which might not be too far off. It's debatable, but we definitely got to see it in action. I'm a person that, approve it. Actions speak louder than words. Okay? So, with that being said, I guess it don't matter when the last time he was on the sled, as long as it looked like he been on the sled when he hit that field come September 9th versus Tampa Bay. Because he's going to need that. All right? Next up, talking about the Broncos and their pick of Patrick Surtain. So it came out this week that Pat Surtain was actually the number one person on their draft board. It wasn't that anybody that they wanted got selected before they got to him. He was actually the first one. And they've been criticized a lot here lately because a lot of people don't believe that they should have gotten a DB. They should have got a quarterback. I've said on here that quarterback is a pretty good idea for the Broncos going into the draft. When the draft came, it went. They didn't get one. I've said that was a head scratcher. Okay, now this is being that it came out and it was said he was number one on their board from them. It's about time to cover your tracks, right? Go ahead and clean it up and tell us why, because we know we're missing something here, right? Oh, well, we were told by the Broncos general manager, George Patton, they said quarterbacks were in play, definitely. Our board fell to where Surtain was there, and we couldn't pass him up. He was just too talented, too unique, too good off the field, too good on the field. I'm familiar with his dad and his family. It was a home run for the Broncos. All right, let's peel that back. Let's peel that back, man. Since when did getting the first round pick position go to someone that you know's family? Like someone, like I saw him grow up. I know he's a good kid. Don't get me wrong. I know what the saying is. It ain't about what you can do. It's about who you know. But this one is a little blatant, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you usually do that on the slick. Nobody knows until they get down to the, pieces like, oh, that's they cousin or something like that. That's how that's supposed to happen. You ain't supposed to be like, oh, well, yeah, this was our first pick because his father is good people. All right. What? I agree with everything else. I agree how talented he is, how unique he is, good off the field, good on the field. I agree. Those weren't lies. They were just not reasons directly to pick someone first round in the NFL. In the first round, you feel a need unless Michael Jordan is up. And you didn't need a Michael, but it's Michael Jordan, Or if somebody could see into the future and was like, hey, this is Tom Brady, he's going to win 7 for sure. That's the only time you go for something you don't need. But just because you felt that this young man was good at heart, I think a lot of these guys are good at heart. Okay? Again, this is not being said to tear down Pat, I promise. I like Pat. I just think the Broncos have a terrible decision-making diagram. But, hey, if you know people, click yes, shoot to the top. I guess that's how it works over there in Denver. I actually just got to stop in Denver this past week. First time out there. My stop just stopped there. My flight just stopped there for a little while while I switched flights. So it was pretty rainy. It looked sad out there, but I'm gonna be back. I do want to visit you guys one day. All right, and I do want to come to a Broncos game. All right, you just get yourselves together. Get yourselves a quarterback. We all know y'all need a quarterback. Come on, man. All right. So Washington football team, their all-time sack leader, Ryan Kerrigan, joins Philadelphia Eagles. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, the edge rusher. Like I said, he led the Washington football team all-time in sacks. He announced this past Monday that he is signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 32. His first-round pick back in 2011. Played the first 10 years in the NFL career with Washington. Racked up 95.5 sacks and 147 quarterback hits. Very impressive. Okay. He started just one game in 2020 and played 38% of the team's defensive snaps. By far his lowest because of injuries, of course. But he did still get 5.5 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, which says a lot to me, man. That's a good player. That's somebody I'd want to keep around. Kerrigan has 13.5 sacks against Philadelphia, tied with the Dallas Cowboys for the most sacks against one team. Okay, but hey, that's almost a generational talent right there, man. A lot of the people that's big right now, that's what their goal is to be the leader of a certain type of category on a team, especially if it's a team that drafted them, that they stuck with, not somebody they got moved to. But impressive and surprising all in one take. Okay. Eagle quarterback Jalen Hurts is being real humble out here, guys. He said he is not above competition. This was brought up because, their coach, Nick Sirianni, had publicly, said that they're going to have to compete for it. He has not publicly said who number one is going to be on the quarterback depth chart. He said it's important to create competition in every position. Now, coach, I have nothing against none of that. I don't think anyone should. I think that everybody coaches their own way. I give you that. That ain't got nothing against my coaching segment I'm about to give y'all here in a second. But there's some things that you can kind of foresee. We can let people compete. But you know what you know. And we know that Joe Flacco is not about to rise back up and be that guy. He can compete if you choose. But do we really think Joe Flacco is going to make any bit of difference for your team or anything close to what you saw on the horizon with Jalen Hurts last season? You got Jamie Newman, the rookie that wasn't even drafted. So I don't think you're really leaning on him either. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're only putting this out there to make things sound interesting, maybe even to keep it interesting with Joe Flacco, because you probably told him that before he came over there. That's probably what happened. Y'all probably made a terrible promise and told Joe that he is competing for the first spot. He is not guaranteed the second spot. He's competing for the first spot. And now when everybody's just talking about Hurts this and Hurts that, Joe came up to y'all and said, y'all fix it. And, he's won a Super Bowl, so y'all respected it and had to put a hush to that and said, we are going to make this a competition. Okay. Cool. So this is going to be a conversation that's out there right now. I guess y'all can say what y'all want. Y'all got it out there. I don't think anyone believes you. I'm talking about the coach staff. Jalen, you can say what you want about not being above it. I understand that. I'm a humble person myself, so I can relate to that. But to have the coaching staff act like they don't, recognize that's the part I'm getting on. That's the part I'm aiming at here. Okay? So, hey, I don't know what y'all think the right answer is if you guys are trying to decide if there is a right answer. But there's definitely a wrong one. And like I said, I don't care if Joe Flacco doubles completions in practice over Jalen Hurts. It's all about what you can do in the moment, under the lights, when the decision needs to be made. And we've seen the comparison in just this last season. We'll just go off the same amount of games. They don't even got to count them all. Use the same amount of games. Use the last, because I think Jalen played, 5-6 complete games fully? Just count Flacco's last 5-6. And I'm telling you, they won't compare. Believe me? No? Well, maybe you should go and look it up. And then we'll come back and talk about it. Because I know what I'm talking about now. All right. Next up, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. It came out that he's on track. I kind of mentioned it before, little stuff that we see. But they let out the official information this week, actually coming from his doctor, Dr. Neil Atreche. You know what? I'm going to just stop there. Dr. Neil, okay? He basically said he's on track for a full go for the start of the season. He's doing all the work. He's worked his tail off and is being amazing. He's doing amazing. He's mature, participating in the recovery, real focused. So that all helped in according to make sure he's on the field this upcoming season when they play the Minnesota Vikings September 12th. So, hey, that's great news. I keep telling y'all, Joe's the guy. They got him a little weapon here. They got him a little protection. Need a little bit more. We hoping nothing else happened to him. I don't know. There's a couple things that have this weird timeline. But for whatever reason, big time rookies, literally almost feel like every year at least one's going to have that season-ending injury. And then, we come back and hope for the best that they're the same. It's very scary because, I'm pretty sure everyone's rooting for Joe, man. Want to see him do well. Okay? On to Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. Oh, Matt. Matt, you shouldn't have talked so much, Matt. But, yeah, Matt was having a conversation reflecting on his career and talking about possibly not working with Julio anymore. So, Matt's been playing with the Falcons for 14 seasons. Yeah, he's been with them for 14 seasons now. We all know he's close to the end than the beginning. So, of course, he was on his heels, paying attention to the draft, thinking he was getting a replacement. He didn't. he was able to actually get a weapon. He was actually getting another weapon just then. Fourth pick overall, perfect time to get a quarterback. But instead of getting one, they selected Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. Matt came out, in this conversation. He said, in one respect, you understand that if you play well for long enough, there's the conversation that are going to come up. He said he understands that. He said, I understand that I'm not going to play forever, but I also have the mindset that I'm still playing really well and have a lot of good football in front of me. I agree that you're still playing well, Matt. I can't say you have a lot of good football in front of you. That's just a statistic that I don't think a lot of people that are betting men and betting women would really put their money on, just because of what we've seen throughout time. There have been a few to overcome in the later years, but there have been more, many, many more that have not. But I like the optimism, Matt. I really do. All right, so he turned 36 this past Monday. Shout out to Matt Ryan. Okay, Tor's brother. But like I said, he had a pretty decent season this past season. He completed 65% of his passes, 4,581 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I can work with that. All right. Now his talks on Julio, one of his number one targets, somebody he's played with for a long time. Actually, Julio has been targeted more and has caught more passes for more yards and more touchdowns from Ryan than any other Falcon player. So, this is his guy, right? This is definitely his guy. After, general manager Terry just last month kind of said that, everybody is available, I guess, for trade. Ryan kind of said he understands the business part of that and has no involvement in those decisions. He made it clear that Julio influenced on Ryan's own career, and he doesn't know about, post-Jones offense, what it would even look like. He said it's probably impatient. He's probably impacted my career more significantly than any other player, which is the truth. And I've been really fortunate to be around him for as long as I have. So, I don't know. Does that sound like a farewell, ladies and gentlemen? Does it sound like he just told us what they've already decided? Nah, I don't think so. Just that'd be jumping the gun, man. That's just the reporters getting out of the story because, let's be honest. We're all kind of fighting for something to talk about right now. Poor us waiting on the season. Thank goodness basketball playoffs are just now starting. Gives us a little distraction, but not enough content. Not for football. Last thing before we wrap up this segment, Washington football team gives their running back Morgan Moses, the green light to look for a trade. I guess that works out better than just firing him based off how he has his contract set up. Maybe. The Washington football team had, granted they've been working with Morgan Moses for a long time, so I guess that's the respectable way to do it. They would save $7.75 million in cap space, whether it's a trade or release, no matter if he does it before or after June 1st. Okay, he would count $1.9 million in dead cap room. Okay, so that's probably why they did it that way. Out of respect for the time length that they've been with him, and just letting them understand it's all business. They're trying to save the cap space. They're trying to move on to the next thing. He was third round pick back in 2014. He just turned 30, so still very much so useful. And he has 2 years left on his contract. So we'll see where he ends up. All right, now it's time for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and we back. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that quick commercial break. I appreciate your patience. We are going into new news, part 2, giving you these updates of the week. Alright, so last thing I left off on was the Washington football team and their situation with Morgan Moses. Now let's talk about New England. Now this is where things get interesting. Of course, I left all the better things to talk about for this segment, so tune in closely here. I hope I don't move too fast for you. If so, just rewind it, guys. This is a podcast. You didn't miss it. All right. New England Patriots re-signed quarterback Brian Hoyer. And, you know, it's big talk because they're like, oh, they have Brian Hoyer coming back, but they already signed Cam, and they just drafted Mac Jones. They're kind of like, who should be worried here? Well, let's talk about Brian Hoyer first of all. Brian Hoyer, who had taken a free agent visit with the New York Jets earlier this offseason, you know, who they filled their quarterback situation with Zach Wilson. He's 35 years old. He's been backup quarterback for how long? Not sure. Different places, but it's just been Brian Hoyer just pushing along. Kind of like Fitzmagic, but I think Fitzmagic gets a little more action than him on the field. Brian Hoyer's just been there for emergency purposes for coaches like Coach Bill Belichick for quite some time. Now, Coach Belichick has declared Cam Newton their top option for quarterback going into the season. All right. Apparently the door is open, though, for Mac Jones, Stidham, and now Brian Hoyer. Belichick's actual words was, you know, somebody would have to play better than Cam does in order to take his spot. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he knows from working with Brian for some time that he's not going to outplay Cam Newton. Cam Newton can have all the woes in the world, and I still think no one will have more faith in Brian Hoyer than Cam Newton. All right. When it comes to Mac Jones, he was drafted in the first round. They needed a quarterback. A lot of people kind of presume that means Mac is starting. I mean, based off that type of move, I would want to say that. I do. But as I've said before, he's Cam Newton. He's a dual threat quarterback. He knows the offense because he's been there for at least a year. He knows how Coach Belichick wants it. He has pleased Coach Belichick. And that we know because, for one, they picked him up last year in the first place. You know, Coach Belichick isn't somebody that literally makes decisions with his eyes closed. So clearly there was something he appreciated about Cam Newton. And then apparently Cam Newton proved himself, because, of course, he comes to work out the team before he actually gets a deal. So all that happened all before what happened in the season. So the season goes by. He was only on a 1-year contract. And when that contract's up and a lot of questions in the air, Patriots already knew they were taking him back. I mean, the decision didn't come till a little while afterwards, but clearly when it comes to that situation, you're talking about it before the timeline's up. You just have your own agenda when it's getting done, so they take Cam back. That means, best believe they're not taking Cam back if there was any issues, guys. You're not paying him just to be like, just to keep people off our backs and not see that we're going to draft the quarterback and stuff like that. That was least of their worries. They spent the most money they ever have in free agency, and they knew that they were hurting for a quarterback. And this quarterback comes along, just won him a natty. Had worked with a great team, but more importantly, he worked with a familiar coaching style as Bill Belichick. Bill always picks the Bama boys because they already know what it is. They already know that football recipe to success. So he wants them to come in with that same attitude, and we keep that train moving. I can respect that. I really can. So when it comes to this, the reason I'm even explaining this story the way that I am is because there's a lot of talk about Cam supposed to being scared. Like, what? I know y'all not saying because Brian Hoyer came back to the Patriots that Cam Newton should be scared. No. No. If anybody should be worried about keeping a job at quarterback on their team, it's Stidham. It's Stidham. And it's simply because Mac just got drafted the first round. They just signed, they signed Brian Hoyer. So that means, you don't need 4 quarterbacks on your roster. And Cam Newton's already, given the number 1 spot. If anybody's getting bumped off the depth chart, it's Stidham. Either way it go, Cam look like he's going to be there, guys. Even if he doesn't win the starting position, which, as of right now, I believe Bill Belichick, I do. I believe that Cam is their first choice. And what Mac Jones is going to have to do is come in there and wow them. He's going to have to prove that he can do it without all his talent because that's really what New England is about. They're about doing it without. Okay? Tom Brady did it without the quarterback. Without that sounds crazy. Tom Brady did it without receivers. He made receivers that were unnamed be somebody. They did it without some of their best players on defense. Okay? They did it without giving him the most money. Did not need to spend this much money on this player because they were able to keep what they had. As long as everybody follows this guideline, I guarantee you that's what they tell them in their rookie camps. They say, look, this is how we win. This is the formula right here. If you can stay on this formula, you're good with us, and you'll be on the road to winning a ring with us. It's been proven, guys. Look, they probably point them to all the rings and stuff and the trophies. It's been proven. Look at our track record. They tell them all this stuff and tell them, like, hey, this is the formula. If you can't keep up with it, then keep it moving. Stidham, your time is ticking, buddy. That's what I wanted to come here and tell you today. I have nothing against you. I'm just saying, when Cam went out last season, they still didn't put you in. So that says something. Stidham, this must be another case of me knowing somebody's father, the coach knowing somebody's father. Keep him happy and let him know that everything is still loved, I guess. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about the New York Giants. What are they into now? Well, they did it again. The New York Giants signed former first-rounder Kelvin Benjamin. So what did they do again, DJ? Well, I think they went and got something they didn't really need. At least not appropriately. The New York Giants, it's like y'all always, like I said, y'all keep trying to reach to grab one thing by itself and hold on to that. I don't know what you're getting out of that. You just drafted Kadarius Toney. Okay? When you draft a guy like that, you don't go get a washed receiver. And like I said, y'all, I play it safe on here usually. I don't talk about people too often on here. Not too bad, right? I don't think so. But look, you guys got a couple decent pieces that I think you're doing well with. All right. Kelvin Benjamin, who, I mean, just came from the Buffalo Bills. That's what team he was on in 2018. And apparently he got to Kansas City for a little while, for like 3 games. Caught 2 balls. So I'm just not going to count that. But yeah, so the Kelvin Benjamin that most of us know is, rookie 2014 Kelvin Benjamin. Had 73 catches, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Came back the next year. Came a little short on his 1,000 yards, but he did have fewer catches. He had 10 less catches with 63. Still had 7 touchdowns. That's a fair amount. I work with that. Then, had his in-between Buffalo, 6 games, Carolina, 8 games, Buffalo, 12 games. It was a pretty tough situation, but you start to see all of that go into a slight decrease in productivity. All right, 17, he totaled 3 touchdowns, 18, 1 touchdown on 2 different teams out of 15 games. Yeah, and we haven't seen him do anything since. A lot of people make jokes about his weight. He gained weight. So I guess that puts into him in the category of being slower and stuff, right? But it's very interesting. You got to remember, he was a first rounder. I mean, I want to say his name with respect, okay? So, back in 2014, the Carolina Panthers' first round pick was Kelvin Benjamin. He was a former, so the story is Kelvin Benjamin and former Philadelphia Eagle running back in the Super Bowl hero, Corey Clement impressed, him. He was impressed over the weekend during a tryout at a rookie minicamp. Received a 1-year deal. That's how that happened. Wide receiver who had more than 1,000 yards as a rookie, i.e. him. They say he worked primarily a tight end at the tryout. So that's where they want to try him out at. He got a little bigger. We're going to switch his position. That'd be interesting. But, I mean, this is, I think, one of those cases of where you're kind of leaning on somebody's potential star power from the past. You're leaning on it a little too hard, if you ask me. It's just what I'm thinking. But, hey, I'm always down to get proved wrong. And you know why? Because I'm very much so interested in seeing good ball. So, in order for you to prove me wrong, I get to be entertained. It's a win-win for me. That's for sure. All right, let's move over to some Jaguars talk, man. I got them a couple times in here about some stuff they got going on. All right, so what's going on down in Jacksonville? Well, Trevor Lawrence is getting a lighter workload because Travis Etienne is getting as much as he can handle because they are going to use him as a dual threat. All right, so they have Etienne, who is a running back, taking a majority of his reps at receiver. Yep, his first 2 days at their rookie camp, he began, the process of turning this ACC all-time leader in rushing into a receiver, guys. It's very interesting. So Coach Meyer said, at the worst case scenario, you have a running back with the skill set of a wide receiver. That's at the worst case scenario. That's not bad. And then he said, at the best case scenario, you'll have a hybrid player who does both. And that's what we're hoping to develop out of Travis. You know what this looks like, Coach Meyer? This looks like college football, and I'm not mad at it. Some people may believe and be stuck in the old ways, but this is all part of that transition that I was even speaking about at the quarterback position, about these guys being dual threat, a.k.a. playing 2 positions. A dual threat quarterback is nothing but a running back and a quarterback. So if you make a running back, and a receiver, that's a dual threat, and it's just as effective. Actually, let me not say just as effective. They clearly don't get the ball in their hand every single time. They're depending on the quarterback. But the quarterback gets to decide. So theirs is a little more important. But they make plays, man. Look, if you can have, like Coach Meyer said, have him line up in the backfield, he can give you, hundreds of yards a game. I want to say he can average 200 yards a game. What does that mean? He can average 2 yards a game? Like, that's pretty extreme to average. Yes, I know. That's me saying he can. I think ETN is very capable of being a 2K runner. He could be a 2K runner if, Jaguars' offensive line is good enough, which I don't know if they're good enough, so we're not going to set that one in stone. That's the reason this isn't on the Reaching podcast. But I think he'll be very successful. I can't remember his hand game back at Clemson, but I could definitely speak on his running game. I've seen that. All right, Sermon and Etienne, those were definitely two running backs that were popping off the screen. Nothing against Najee. Najee's solid too. Those are, in my opinion, the three best running backs that came in this season. Outside of injuries, guys. Outside of injuries. But yeah. Him, dual threat, dope. Like seeing what you're doing, Coach Meyer. Bringing in that college feel to the NFL is great. ETN speaks on the situation. He says, I feel great about it. He says it's going to help me maximize my opportunity and skill set. I feel like Coach knows what he's doing, and I think it's going to work out well. Football is a game of matchups. We're just trying to get the best matchups. I feel like he knows what he's doing, and I think it's going to work out well. Well, Etienne, I agree, son. Good thing you have your mindset in the right place. I mean, I know you're probably really just doing all of this because you want to, maximize all your options of being on the field. So, good job there, man. Because in football, man, especially when it comes to this, you are, you're getting paid about the time you spend on the field. Because if you can't stay relevant, you can't stay making plays where people want to use you, it's going to be hard to stay in this league. You will definitely fall into the abyss. Like I said, Travis Etienne, if you're just unfamiliar with him for some reason, he rushed the ACC record of 4,952 yards and 70 touchdowns in his 4 seasons at Clemson. He also caught 102 passes for 1,155 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's including 48 receptions for 588 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2020. Got it. Good. If you believe that he can do them both now, good. All right, what else is going on in Jacksonville? Well, they waived running back Raquel. I think that's how you pronounce your name, Raquel Armstead, who missed, the entire 2020 season due to complications with COVID. Now, at first, when I first saw this headline, I was like, "Wow, it's kind of messed up." It's not very loyal. The kid's young. He was only 24. He was twice placed on the reserve COVID-19 list this past season, which kept him from playing. He spent 19 days on the list the first time and dealt with a groin injury and an illness before going back on the list. Players are placed on the list if they test positive for the virus or have been in close contact with someone with it. So he was caught up with that situation without it really being said which is which. He was the 5th round pick in 2019 and ran 108 yards on 35 carries as a rookie. He will likely have had a larger role on offense this season, or more so last season, after Leonard Fournette was cut. But he got beat out for the job by James Robinson. So that may have played a part in him not being focused enough, or just coming about this unfortunate. But the reason I said at first I thought this was messed up is because that happened on Monday. He was picked up by Tuesday. The New York Giants did it again. They claimed a running back in Armstead off of waivers from the Jaguars. He just got released a day later. They pick him up like they don't got Saquon Barkley. You see what I'm saying now? Maybe you didn't understand me earlier when I said the Giants just get people they don't need. But look at what I'm talking to y'all about. Why they go out and get him? They didn't need to claim him. What they think going on over there? I mean, that's just showing some desperation, if you ask me. Giants. I mean, are all these guys supposed to be competing? Are you just getting guys to just get rid of them? No. Okay. I'm just trying to see, man. I'm just trying to get some understanding here. Let's get into a little bit of college football, man. Let me talk about the SEC. Y'all know the SEC is the most popular. Y'all know SEC is one of my favorites because I went to SEC school. So I like watching some SEC ball. They announced this past Wednesday, if you ain't heard, listen to this mess here, that they have sent an additional $23 million to each of its 14 schools for financial losses because of COVID-19. $23 million. First of all, sometimes just hearing big numbers like that just make me sick. And it make me sick because you just think about so many things that's wrong in the world and be realizing how much money one person, one place have. And be like, man, you don't want to help nobody out with that. That's 14 schools, $23 million. That's $322 million. Now, I believe it is nice of them, in hindsight, to look out for their organizations. But if Bill Gates decided to share some of his fortune with the other 1%, how much good is he really doing? Them schools all doing fine, man. They all got plenty of money. It says it was reported that the conference estimates an average shortfall of $45 million per athletic program. Shortfall of $45 million off of what? $500 million? That ain't nothing. Them schools make play. I know y'all saw Texas A&M packed to capacity in one of them last games, man. Texas opened up and they let everybody in. Now, there's a new, TV deal. Maybe that affects that. Maybe they trying to help people, get pretty before they got to be on TV. It says that the $322 million distribution will be paid from future revenues generated through the media contract beginning in 2025. So it's not even like freshman. This is almost like credit. Like they got credit on it because of this deal. When the NCAA annually distribution fell by 40% last year because of the cancellation of the winter and spring championships, the student assistant fund, which helps to pay for things like insurance, clothes, computers, and other necessities to give the kids their scholarships and stuff, that was slashed from $87.1 million to $27.3 million. So I can see that being part of an issue to help pay for students, but for money that they already had just to the organization, because guess what? I don't think that money is going to the kids. They're not saying like, hey, you were someone that we had to give a scholarship, that was only partial. Even though you were here for full-time scholarship, you had to pay for things on your own. So if anything, this is your money back. Now, guys, look. If somebody comes out and says, hey, DJ, slow your roll, that's actually the case, then, okay, my bad. I jumped the gun. But I'm not really hearing that come from anybody. So, look here, SEC. Next time you want to donate $23 million to each school that's rolling in money as an institution, because all of them are in their state. All 14 teams are rolling in money in their state. Just send it to me, okay? Hey, look, I'm the hater on the podcast, talking mess about you guys. If you send me millions of dollars, I'll never talk bad about you again. I'll only say good things, and you'll good press here, okay? We'll talk soon. All right, last but not least, man, weird or interesting or proud moment, I'm not sure, at University of Texas, they hired their first African-American director of the Longhorn Marching Band. This comes 1 month after their announcement and controversial decision to let the band play the Eye of Texas song that has brought a lot of criticism over racist elements and remarks from the past that it involves. Okay, his name is Cliff Crooms. He was assistant director of bands at LSU. He's now taking over the Longhorn Band and his alma mater. Yes, he went to Texas. Starting June 1st, he replaces Scott Hanna, who has been leading them since 2015. Crooms is the 15th director of the band that it was founded in 1900. So, we're not even going to talk about how fast the last gentleman got in and got out of there. But I don't like this move, Austin. People always speak about how liberal Austin is. And I mean, I understand the history. I understand both sides of that ball. Clearly, I should understand at least one for sure. I went to PWI. I'm an African American. I understand tradition. I understand disrespect. Okay. That's the only reason I kind of don't like this move. I'm happy for that, man. Absolutely. But at the same time, it's kind of like, really? Is this a publicity stunt? Like, oh, we're, in the media for something that could be controversial, could be bad. Matter of fact, we're going to double down on what y'all are against with us, and we're going to do it anyway because it's our tradition. And just to keep you guys quiet, hey, look, we got a black guy. That's what it's kind of feeling like. It's looking like a, hey, we got a black guy situation. I could definitely see that being something that even an African American would suggest. Somebody, from the school could have been like, hey, what do you think is the best thing to do in this situation to help us, help people know that we want to keep our tradition, but we also love and respect African Americans. Well, we'll hire a black guy. If that position's available or somebody new in the band, get an African American. He can be the representative. He can be the person that, people may shame now. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. We'll do that. And that's what it feels like happened. But, hey, at the end of the day, I don't watch Texas games anyway. All right, guys. Hey, that is the new news, man. Next up, I'm excited. About to introduce y'all to some new stuff, man. It's time for fan coaching. It's time for me. It's time for you all, because I need y'all to chime in the comments below. And we need to get on some of these coaches and talk about some of these decisions they didn't make or need to make. All right? That's coming up next. Stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. All right, so you got the new news. That's out of the way. Now it's time for the new segment, fan coaching. I am a young man, a fan of the game for quite some time. I've played football, I have watched football, I have studied football, I have fell asleep on film multiple times like all football players. I've had injuries on the football field that I act like didn't happen because I wanted to keep playing. I have laughed, I have smiled, I have cried, all because of football games. With that being said, as we all know, that qualifies me to be a football coach and a football person talking on here on a podcast about the sport. Right? Yes. I'm glad you know. I'm glad you agree. If not, then you listen to the wrong show. Okay? What you need to tune into is this show and listen harder. All right? Look, guys, I'm not going to sit here and say I have all the answers. I'm not going to say everything that I believe is correct. Because you know what? This is America. Everyone's open to believe in whatever they want to believe in. But what I'm going to be sharing here in this segment is straight facts. Okay? These are facts coming from a football fan who is not blind. I may wear glasses for reading purposes. And, of course, I spend a lot of time on the computer handling stuff for work, so I use it to make sure my eyesight don't go bad too fast. But other than that, I can see clear as something I can see is very clear. And that's why I'm here to school you coaches. The first coach I need to come out to center field, Mike Zimmer. Oh, Mike, I know you're probably confused on why you got to come out here. I know. It's all right. Come on out here. We're going to sit here and discuss. So this is the situation, Mike. You guys said Kirk Cousins is definitely starting. No questions about it. But are you sure that is the right choice? How confident are you in that? To where you have 4 quarterbacks on your roster right now. Most teams don't have 3. You have 4. Kirk Cousins, you just drafted high, like to say, high off your draft board, Kellen Mond. You have Nate Stanley and Jake Browning. Now, unlike the situation going on in Philadelphia, this is where I agree with that situation that the best player plays. I understand that Kirk Cousins has been able to get the job done. I'm not going to sit here and act like Kirk Cousins is the scum of quarterbacks. But I will say that the guy you just brought in could be just as good as Kirk, if not better, I believe. This is not a bias. As I told you all, I have my reservations about Kellen Mond. I went to Texas A&M, so I got to watch him more than any other quarterback. And with that being said, Kirk Cousins completing 349 passes for a 67.6% completion rating, 4,265 yards, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. All this past season? Well, sir, I will say that's very commendable. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's a trash stat line, because it is not. But I think Kellen Mond could do better. And I'm not even going to say number-wise, stat-wise. I think he could do it less. I say he has less attempts. Let's say less attempts. Less attempts, which can put the completion rating wherever you want to put it. Maybe even less yards. But I bet he'll average more yards per catch, more touchdowns, and less sacks. Kirk Cousins was sacked 39 times this past season. I think Kellen Mond avoids at least 10 of them. That's the minimum. 29 max. Okay? And that's saying a lot, especially for the Vikings and Kirk Cousins, because Kirk Cousins got sacked 28 times, so he beat out the 29 that I just mentioned in 2019. But before that, it was 41 sacks, 40. Okay? And again, That says a lot about other things. Could be the offensive line, stuff like that. But he definitely could throw it away. Kellen Mond is capable, I believe, at least competing for this spot here. So, Coach, this is what you do. You do not let Cousins feel comfortable, because the moment he feels comfortable is when he starts competing. You already see he's already revved up. He's already upset. So I understand you're trying to keep him all peaches and cream and happy and get him to calm down by letting that out there. But you might need some of that fire. You may need him to come out and compete for his job in order to bring out the best version of Kirk Cousins. Because at that point, guess what? That's what you're going to get. You're either going to get the best version of him to step out on that field every play, like we just saw Aaron Rodgers do this past season when a possible replacement came into the picture. Or you found out that he does not have what Kellen have. And Kellen Mond is the guy that y'all need to put out there. This is a team that should be talking about competition when it comes to this position. All right? Yes, he was a third-round pick. But, this could be a storm that no one did not see coming. Not even I. Not even I. If Kellen Mond was on quite a few other teams, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But in this specific situation, Kellen Mond, a guy who just played starting quarterback for multiple years for an SEC football team, just finished out his senior year with his team being ranked 4th in college football. Passed up Johnny Manziel for all-time passing yards at the university. Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be transparent. That's pretty much all we can say right now. Okay, I got you. He didn't do what we wanted in the NFL. Oh, cool, but hear me out. Kellen Mond, a dual threat quarterback with the acrobatic receivers in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, the dynamic, strong running of Dalvin Cook, which is going to do nothing but open up amazing play action. Y'all don't see the success right there just on the horizon? No? Y'all don't see that? I can see it. I can see it. I can see that being a huge swing for this team, man. So, I don't know if that's a decision on what side, Zimmer. If it's your decision, Zimmer. If it's the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak. Hint, hint, Kubiak. You know, I don't know if there needs to be a quarterbacks coach, Andrew Jenico, who looks a lot like a guy that I work with. It's kind of scary. Maybe the same person. I don't know how he works both jobs. Or, hey, look, it could even be the owners, to the owner's discretion. I don't know. I don't care. I just think all 3-4 of you all need to get together and have this conversation about what we're talking about here. Okay? Yeah, look, hey, Mike, you've been to Super Bowl before. You know what it takes to get there, man. You know. Just make the right decision. At least make again, you might really truly want to keep Cousins there. But make him think he doesn't get to keep it. Make him think he has to work for it. Don't just hand it to him. All right? All right. Next up, who's next? Center field. Please come to center field. Vic Fangio. Yes, Vic. I know. Look, it's funny how all the coaches keep seeming so surprised. Yes, come. Yes. All right, stand right there, sir. Right there, center field. We got to have a discussion. Not too far from the last one. But I am just not about to accept this mumbo jumbo y'all just put out about knowing Pat Surtain's family. No. Pat is perfect when it comes to football. Cool. Matter of fact, perfect is an extreme term to use. I understand that. But just stick with me here. Don't lean hard on that, please. But Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. Those are the two best quarterbacks y'all have right now to choose from. And y'all had a top pick in this past draft, in a draft that had at least 7 starting quarterbacks in this league, like for this league, ready for this league. Like, if they're not starting this year, they're definitely starting in their second year. And that's just because of the unique situation that different ones are in. And guess what? You didn't get one, man. Not one. You gonna put all of your chips into Drew Lock. See, look, I can't. Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. All right, so Drew. I mean, where's the good that we see here? We're looking at a guy who's played 2 seasons, not even fully, because you couldn't decide what to do with him. He has 15 interceptions this past season with 16 touchdowns. 15 interceptions. He only threw 16 touchdowns. Now, I'll give him the 3 that he rushed for. He did rush for 3 touchdowns. So that puts his number, I guess, at 19 touchdowns. But 15 is still way, way, way too high. His QBR was 48.8. That's a failing grade. A really bad one for those that don't know. He got sacked 19 times and fumbled 4 of them. That's no bueno. He only was able to pass for 2,900 yards. Only completed 254 balls. Man, the guy I just was talking about maybe losing his job had almost double all that Drew had. So you telling me a guy who should lose his position to a rookie is twice the player of a guy that y'all want to start for y'all team? I don't see the logic here. This is a situation where you all need to do. You know what y'all need to be doing day in and day out right now? Putting together the best package the NFL has ever seen for a trade and get Aaron Rodgers. You all have the best, situation to receive him, and definitely the need. Now, do I want to see Aaron Rodgers in Denver? I have said this before. No, I do not. I don't. It's the truth. I don't want to see him there. I don't think it'll be as flashy as seeing him in Green Bay. So, go ahead. Gather all those first-round picks. Gather all the second-round picks. And gather your first-round pick, Pat. And get ready to put together this package with the beautiful wrapping of a bow, a nice message, and loving open arms to Green Bay. And make that trade, man. Get y'all a quarterback, man. If y'all don't go over there, you need to go figure out what y'all need to do. Talk to the Texans. Get Deshaun Watson. Somebody. Y'all need some help. This is getting ridiculous. All right? I'm going to hate to see my guys, Jerry Jeudy, walk out there with Cortland Sutton and have to catch any balls from Drew. Drew, time is up. Unless you want to see, just the franchise goes to flames, it's time to move on. Teddy's done okay. Maybe keep him on as backup. But you add Drew, you add Pat, you add whatever else you need in that package to get a yes, and you do that ASAP, like Rocky. That needs to be news that we are discussing within the month. Okay? Now, again, in case it was not clear, I ain't speaking to you, Vic. I think you handle the offense. You're somebody that definitely, is verbal when it comes to your team. If Pat's included, the offensive coordinator, Pat Schumer, we know he has a lot of control. If he also has a say-so, then get his opinion. But I know, Vic, you make the last and final decision, along with your GM, for obvious reasons. But y'all need to have a huddle, put those four heads together right next to each other if need be. That's what makes the transition more smooth of the information and the knowledge and what you need to do. But hey, y'all need to be coming up with something. Get the scouting team, get everybody that needs to be involved on this. Because my goodness, this is not going to be pretty. If y'all can, like, do you understand that y'all? There's no quarterback that I think of that anybody should blow it for this upcoming season. Someone, please drop in the comments if I'm tripping here. But can anybody think of a quarterback? I mean, I have an idea of, just good quarterbacks are going to be in this season. I mean, Rattler, I think, is the number one talked about, but none that anybody should be blowing this upcoming season for. Not after what just came through. All right. So, Broncos, get it together. Fan coach has spoke. You heard it here first. Do what you got to do. Okay. Now, last coaching staff needs to come up front. Ooh, who could it be? Center field, Sean Payton. Sean, I know. I like Sean. We boys. I just need to come on out. Bring Pete Carmichael if you need to, guys. We're about to talk about the offense. All right. Hey, your situation, I'm not mad at it. You got Jameis leading the way. Taysom Hill possibly being second. But this is another situation where, it's supposed to be a compete. Guys, don't compete. Just put all of your energy into preparing Jameis Winston. Like, do everything you and he needs for him to be successful in that role. That way, when you get out there, whatever product you have, man, just know you put your all into it. And the reason I need you to do that and want you to do that is because I kind of like what you do with Taysom. What we've seen Taysom do these last couple years with the Saints, but with Drew Brees, I think is a good deal. I think it keeps your defense always on their heels, man, never knowing what's going to happen when he comes in the game. You're putting him at everything, running back, quarterback, receiver, slot. I don't know if he's been at tight end yet, but, hey, that's one of the moves that a lot of teams, one, cannot duplicate because it causes a lot of confusion. You need a player that's really smart to handle it. And not knocking football players for not being smart. It's just, in order just to be successful in the game alone, you have to be smart and aggressive in your position. But, it takes an entire load of intellect in order to play multiple positions. Okay? And Taysom has got it down. The coaching staff has it down to know how to use it. And it's something that defenses could just never possibly get a hold on. He plays different positions. It could be a trick play. Shoot, half the time it's a regular play. And you was too worried about it being a trick play that you missed the obvious. Okay? So, keep Taysom playing what he needs to play. Focus on Jameis. So, what we need from Jameis? Well, we need Jameis to take care of the ball. I don't think you would have kept Jameis or even announced that he would be possibly being in the position he's in if you didn't trust him. So, I know that you at least trust him, Sean and gang, with handling the football for y'all. It's good. I'm actually very impressed with how far Jameis has come since 2015. Glad to see him to even be having this opportunity, honestly. Hoping to see, he's another player I'm hoping to see do well, just like I speak about Cam, speak about James. Jameson, we just can't have what you pulled in 2019 before you got to the Saints. Like, how can you be praised for the amount of yards you put out there? Over 5,000 yards in passing. Had a 60% in completion, which is still okay. Had 33 touchdowns, which is still, that's what you expect. But Jesus Christ, son, 30 interceptions. Just ran away with the record, man. That's ridiculous. Okay, so now with the New Orleans Saints, you got to play 4 games. They didn't trust you to throw it that much. We can see that. So, 75 yards with your 7 passes. What we're going for this year is to have his arm ready, to have his mindset prepared to make sure that he is not giving up the ball, and have that chemistry with the receivers out there, all right? Like, he needs to be having all the reps with Michael Thomas, Taquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, even Alvin Kamara, because we know how much he gets thrown the ball, to where it's second nature, to where he has that chemistry, to where they are rocking with him because he's their quarterback now, all right? And I think they have faith in him. I think they like him too. But New Orleans, if New Orleans is going to stay relevant, Jameis Winston has to have a really good season. He has to have almost an MVP caliber season. He needs to look like he's at Florida State again, basically. That's the only way that Saints are going to be back on top. At least competing in a division with Tom Brady, Jesus Christ, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have made it very known that they're not Succaneers anymore. So, Saints, this is Fan Coach. We have all come to a consensus that Taysom Hill is no longer in the quarterback conversation. He will continue to be the backup and I don't know what you call it, like, not dual, but like a lot. I don't know another term that like dual, but for multiple, multi-position guy. All right. That let him be in practice and go to everybody's separate meetings because he needs to be there. He just needs to be in all offensive meetings, including linemen. All right, Taysom. I hope you're okay with that. Look, buddy, you're getting paid well, and I like your game. So this isn't me trying to take anything from you. All right, but hey, it's time for a quick commercial break, man. We're gonna go into the last segment. We'll be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome back. You are tuned into the GSMC Football Podcast with your guy, DJ Youngs. We have reached the end of our episode, so we have time for the final segment, and that being I would like to introduce to you guys, Reaching. This is the segment where I'm going to sit there and tell you guys straight up what's going to happen in the future with no evidence, or at least no hard evidence. It could be based off of just what, we obviously mostly know as the general public, what we have just found out, what I've just seen, what you saw, stuff like that. All comes down to how we're going to make these, in some cases, told on other shows as bold predictions. But I'm not calling it a bold prediction. I'm just keeping it straight up real and saying this is the reaching segment because it's time to reach. All right, everybody get your stretch on. It's time to reach. And I'd like to continue my transition from the last segment in speaking about Jameis Winston. So I will be saying it here right now that Jameis Winston will be the most improved player in the 2021 season. All right, that's what's going to happen. He's going to come out. He's going to surprise everybody. As I think the Saints are taking care of him. They're focusing on him, making sure he is ready to go. I think Jameis is taking it seriously. We haven't heard nothing from him. I haven't even seen him on none of these versus battles. He's not even saying anything on those. And that seemed like a perfect time for Jameis Winston to be Jameis Winston. If you don't know the versus battle, just let it go. Look it up if you want to, but just stay with me, okay? But yes, this is the perfect opportunity for someone like himself who had been in such a situation. Because let's be honest, not all these quarterbacks get a second chance like this. And even bringing it to a situation where a lot of people like to put it as literally in black and white terms, especially not any black quarterbacks, okay? A lot of the black quarterbacks that fell off, people tried to work with, but like a situation specifically like this one, coming in already with the idea of possibly replacing a GOAT, especially a GOAT to a specific city, after what you've done in another city, almost burned it down, was what you almost did, and got to learn from that guy. Okay, got to take your time. Coaching staff says you've gotten better. Everybody's liking what they see. That's good, man. He's focused on what he needs to be focused on. He's staying out of trouble. Now get it done. I don't think that you should be too worried about some of the people behind you. But, I mean, look, Trevor Siemian and Ian Book, they're there for a reason, okay? The Saints organization pay those guys for a reason. Taysom is more than likely the actual real backup. But as I said in the last segment, he's a lot of things for them. He's a lot of things for the organization. So, Jameis, keep your head down. Saints organization, keep your head up. Focus up. Focus on the future. Okay? I just had to. I just had to put that out there. All right? Next, the Atlanta Falcons will not be better with Kyle Pitts. All right? Kyle Pitts is a player that I think was literally the best skill player in the draft. I think he's a very useful individual. But no matter what he does, no matter how much Matt Ryan contributes and keeps up, just at least being a good quarterback. I'm not even going to say decent. He's above decent. And he's just falling just short of great. So he's a good quarterback. If Kyle does his thing at tight end, none of that makes the Falcons better. It's a lot more to it than that. They had a lot of other things that they had to figure out, man. They have lineman issues. They've had a few coaching issues. They definitely had, defensive issues. Shoot, they had to get rid of their quarterback in the middle. Their coach in the middle of the season. A lot of issues over there. And them picking Kyle Pitts at number 4, I'm sorry, it was not the answer. I said it. I understand why you picked him. But if you picked them as, this is all we needed to get there, this is what we needed to get back to the Super Bowl, I think that's wrong. I think you're completely wrong. That's not the right decision. Okay? Get it together. Figure it out. If you do, then good. But anybody that think Kyle Pitts is the answer, he is not. As a matter of fact, he by himself only puts weight on the needle but doesn't actually move it. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I'm saying there's more weight holding the needle back from moving, even as much as he pushing it the opposite direction. Okay? Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers fall under 500 for the first time. I know. I'm kind of, contradicting myself here. And this isn't the first time ever. I'm talking about the first time under Mike Tomlin. He always gets his 500. But I think they fall off a little bit. Like I said before, I did say they always get it. We have 17 games, so whatever that one is that they need to go the right way for them, because there isn't going to be 50%, it's a little bit over, that they would get it. I said that. But this is the thing. The storyline has to be about somebody, and I think this is their time. I think it's their time that Steelers have to take a look in the mirror, and what they're going to do is they're going to come back stronger. So I think this year is going to be a tough year for them, but then they come and do their thing. They come and do their thing that next year. Now we talked about schedules last week, okay? So, of course, I had to look at the schedule and see if it actually made sense. All right? So, with there being 17 games, me saying they come under 500, that means they're losing 9 games at least. Okay? So I had to go find those 9 games. Those 9 games that they lose, and this is the minimum. Minimum 9. All right? I say Baltimore sweeps them. That's 2. I say Cleveland sweeps them. That's 4. Okay? Then you have Buffalo, 5. Green Bay, 6. Las Vegas, 7. Seattle, 8. And Kansas City, 9. That still leaves the opportunity for other teams like the Vikings, that I think could possibly get one more off of them. And possibly even the Bengals, if they come and be, dynamic on offense, as we think they could possibly be. But leave them out. That's still a solid 9. Like I said, the Baltimore sweeps them. Cleveland sweeps them. That already puts them, 4 down. And that already technically takes them out of the playoffs, as they, don't get to beat the 2 of their division rivals. And I doubt, and both of those division rivals, I'm sure, will have better records. So that's where it comes down to. That's where we stand with them. Again, I love Mike Tomlin. I've said it before. It just has nothing to do with him. I just think a lot of things are just not going to work out for you guys as planned, unfortunately. And again, this is coming from a guy who used to technically be a Steelers fan, but we don't talk about those times. We don't. All right? It is what it is. Okay. Here we go. Going into this season, Deshaun Watson will not start for the Texans. And if he doesn't start, so this is a 2-part. So the first part is saying he's not going to start, meaning multiple things. He can start for somebody else, or, he still has his issues going on with the legal stuff. So it just runs into the season. But I'm leaning more so he might be somewhere else. Who knows? So that leaves the Houston Texans to start. I mean, they'll have time to get anybody else if need be. But from what I can tell, it'll either be Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills. And now this is the second part. That the Texans will record to be one of the worst teams in NFL history with whatever comes out of that. So, once Deshaun leave, when it's just probably Davis Mills and David Johnson, Kiki Cote, Randall Cobb, Brandon Cooks, and a bunch of people on defense that many people can't really name, that the team is not going to be successful. Now, weapons, I mean, look, let me just go ahead and say the running backs they have and the receivers they have are cool. I don't mean any harm towards you guys. Lindsey, Ingram, Johnson in the backfield. Receivers, Cobb, Cooks, Cote, Cortler, Moncrief, all you guys. We're good in my book, I promise. But if you don't have a legit quarterback, you guys play a dependent position. If that person doesn't perform, you don't really score. And the defense so bad, people are just going to score on you. So now you got to have a scoring battle, and you're just not going to step up to the plate. So you're going to have teams putting the most yards up on you guys, and you're going to have possibly the least points, making the Houston Texans the worst team, and at that point, make Houston one of the saddest sports cities 2020 to 2021. Okay? It's just, it is what it is. I'm from Houston. I'm a Houstonian. But we just got to be honest here. We just have to be. I'm sorry. All right. Kansas City Chiefs. And this one isn't too bold. I think this is pretty straightforward, man, if I'm being honest with you guys. But Kansas City Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl. It's kind of obvious. We can debate about what you feel about Tampa Bay, but Chiefs, I feel like, is a no-brainer. We can't see into the future and see what the playoffs are going to look like. But when it comes to their division, no one's going to stop them. Not even the Cleveland Browns. I like the Cleveland Browns. I really do. I speak about you guys all the time. But you will not defeat them in the AFC Championship game, just like the not the Broncos. The Buffalo wasn't able to, man. It's okay. It's normal. And by normal, I mean it's been making sense for some time now that Kansas City Chiefs are very much so a threat. They're going to be a threat for a long time. They get their people back healthy. My thing is they play you guys as an opening game, Cleveland Browns. That'll pretty much be my conference championship game, said early. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be a conversation a lot by the commentators at the beginning of that game. You know how they be talking about that kind of stuff. Well, this is a look at a possible Super Bowl of this year, like the conference championship based off this situation. Yes, very much so. I think so. It's just obvious that what they have going on over there, having those guys, the only thing that changed up on them in the Super Bowl that made them look the way they looked was their offensive line, which they refurbished. So it's good to go. It's like having a brand new car. It started having a little issue because of one little part. Messed up its performance. You replace that one part. Guess what? It might as well still be a brand new car. It's only 2 years old technically. You know? But the Browns played them only once in the regular season. Baltimore, has the hardest time beating Kansas City. Buffalo puts up a good fight, but hasn't been able to capitalize. Green Bay is one mistake away every game from losing it, so Kansas City is definitely going to capitalize on that game. And Dallas is Dallas, so take what you want with that. Those are the only teams I feel like even have a chance. And those are the reasons I feel like they will lose. When it comes to Las Vegas, can they do it again? I doubt it. Not letting it happen twice. What they say, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. No, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Where am I talking about, guys? But I'm saying that to say that they're going to remember that. They're going to come into that Vegas game and not underestimate the Raiders, as they shouldn't. Okay? So that's it. I'm also not trying to say that they are going to be undefeated. Is it possible? Yes, especially based off what I just gave you. But if the Cleveland Browns beat Kansas City in this opening game, please don't take that as a sign. That's going to be the conversations everywhere. I promise you. Cleveland Browns win it. That's going to be all the talk is Cleveland Browns Super Bowl bound, Kansas City falling off. Matter of fact, I'm going to cut this snippet out just so I can tell y'all that I said this when it comes up. And that's, if there's this upset, of course, it's a possibility. But yeah, that's what it's gonna look like in the Super Bowl. That's it. So I guess that might as well just commit to my pick. I guess Kansas City will be my pick for the AFC. Not gonna give you the NFC. I gotta keep you guys on your toes, keep you interested. Plus, I'm already putting this to the side the right for me to change my mind after we see more things. At least week 1 of the season, guys. At least week 1. I got to at least see how people are going to play that. All right. Now, final bold statement. You ready? This is Tom Brady's last season, win or not. I know. He said he's going to play for more. But we talk about it. Everybody talks about it every year. I think Tom, as much as he wants to still play, I don't think he's falling off. I just think it'll be time. Like, he'll get it out. If he gets to the Super Bowl again, then cool. Okay. I think he'll like that. Win or lose, I think he'll be satisfied with his career. If he doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, I don't think he'll play again because I don't think he can drag that group back together again. And if he cannot drag that group back together again, he's going to want to finish it with those guys. So what they're going to do as a team is play their hearts out to get to the Super Bowl. Get there or not, though, it's going to be like watching the Bulls just break together that roster, break apart that roster. That's what's going to happen over in Tampa Bay. But prove me wrong, everyone. I dare you. You know why I dare you? I mentioned it earlier. I enjoy being wrong when it comes to football because that just means I get to watch some good games. But hey, that's all I got for y'all today, man. As always, thank you for tuning in. You were listening to the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your guy, DJ Youngs. I would appreciate, if you go ahead, subscribe, write a review about what you think about these episodes that I leave. I have other colleagues who also record and leave videos and speak to you guys daily, weekly. We rotate the days here on this podcast. Talk about me, talk about them. Check them out. Even if you're here, just listen to me, listen to the other guys, see what they're talking about. For all I know, you might like them better, shoot, and then vice versa. Other people might like me better. Who knows? Might be a better fit. But get your fix when it comes to the game, the best way possible for you. But we're all talking about the same stuff most of the time, so it's just all about the delivery, right? But yeah, give us some feedback about what you think, how you feel about our shows. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are on all those platforms. GSMC_podcast. That covers a lot of information on all of them. And then GSMC_football is specifically the one that is ran by me and the guys. All right. But thank you. Good morning, good night, good evening. As always, I say all of that because I know you could be listening anytime. So, farewell, everybody. You have a great one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.